run your boat engine at full throttle, you're destroying it. Here's why. Now first off, for those who are unaware, let's define wide open throttle, or WOT, because that term gets thrown around freaking everywhere. Every marine engine, from the beastly power of mega yachts to the humble John boats that grace quiet lakes, has got a manufacturer-specified RPM rating. Now this RPM range is essentially the engine's sweet spot of maximum power output, the point where it's working at 100% load. When you push your throttle all the way and your engine hits that RPM mark, you're officially running at WOT. Surveyors make a big deal out of this during sea trials, because hitting the factory's WOT RPM is a crucial health check for your engine. If your boat doesn't reach this number, it rings alarm bells for several possible problems down the road. The propeller is a major factor in engine performance. It's not just decorative, it controls how your engine runs. Using a propeller that's too big or too small with the wrong pitch or blade count is going to hurt your engine's power at wide open throttle. A mismatched prop lowers RPMs, reduces fuel efficiency, and puts extra stress on your engine's internal parts. So let's toss in a real-world example to put this into perspective. Picture a trusty 1976 Johnson 35 horsepower engine, a relic by today's standards, yet still running strong after nearly 5 decades. This is a motor that's seen wide open throttle action repeatedly, proving that running WOT alone doesn't blow your power head. The real killers? Running lean fuel mixtures or neglecting oil levels, which leads to overheating. Overheating? That's the silent assassin in this story, warping metal parts, damaging valves, and destroying plastics under the hood. It's these heat-induced stresses, not flooring the throttle, that cause catastrophic engine failure. So if you're worried about pushing your outboard hard, focus more on oil and cooling systems and avoiding WOT outright. Smaller engines, 5 to 20 horsepower, tend to get a bad rap for their fragility, but the truth is often less about the engine itself and more about how it's cared for. Those little motors often sit unused for months, corroding quietly while their carburetors clog and impellers rot. Then when the owner finally fires it up, it sputters and struggles, wrongly blamed on frequent WOT runs when the real issue is neglect and poor maintenance. These engines can run wide open throttle all day if properly maintained, just like their bigger cousins. Now, speaking about bigger horsepower, 90, 115, even up to 600 horsepower beasts all handle WOT differently. Think of bass boats and other high-performance recreational vessels. Their engines thrive on bursts of wide open throttle, powering from spot to spot on the lake with short sprints of full throttle followed by slow trolling. This intermittent WOT usage actually suits them well, keeping engine internals clean and performing optimally. For your average recreational boater though, running wide open throttle all the time isn't a given. Many just don't have the horsepower or reason to push it that hard constantly. It's also worth noting too that a lot of modern 4-stroke outboards incorporate advanced technologies that weren't available on older 2-stroke models. Things like computer-controlled spark timing, variable fuel mixtures, and electronic RPM limiters all help the engine run cleaner and more efficiently over a broader RPM range. These features make it easier to run your motor at varying speeds without risking carbon buildup or just incomplete combustion. The old paradigm of "you've got to run it at WOT or it'll clog up," that's evolving and changing thanks to all these technological leaps. Another critical point that rarely gets as much attention is engine usage time. Unlike car engines that rack up hundreds of thousands of hours annually, most recreational outboards see surprisingly little actual runtime. A typical car might accumulate 500 to 1,000 hours per year, while a recreational boater's outboard might log only 50 to 150 hours annually. Now that means even if you run your outboard wide open most of those hours, it's still likely to last a decade or more without major overhaul. This low usage environment is why modern outboards are perfectly suited for most recreational boaters. They're designed to operate efficiently and reliably without the high continuous loads seen in commercial or long-distance cruising applications. Now on the other side of this, long-distance cruising sailboats and powerboats often rely on inboard diesel engines, which are built for extended hours of operation and durability over outright power or speed. These engines trade weight and interior space for longevity, running thousands of hours with proper care, something most outboards just aren't designed to match. To help visualize the wear and tear on an engine, imagine it as a bucket holding your engine's total useful horsepower life. Engine speed acts like holes in that bucket. More holes, higher RPMs, means the fluid, engine life, leaks out faster. Running at lower speeds means fewer holes, preserving life longer. But if you never use the engine or run it too slowly for extended periods, that fluid can stagnate and cause carbon deposits and other issues. That's why manufacturers typically recommend running engines around 60 to 80% of the rated horsepower for the best balance of performance and longevity. It keeps the engine cleaning itself internally without pushing it into premature wear and tear territory. Idling for long periods is another no-go zone. It leads to incomplete combustion and carbon buildup, accelerating wear and shortening intervals between oil changes. That's why a lot of fishing boats carry smaller auxiliary trolling motors. These little workhorses let anglers quietly maneuver at slow speeds without throttling the big engine into inefficient idling. It's a practical solution to an otherwise tricky balance of power, efficiency, and engine health. Sizing your engine right for your boat and purpose is crucial. Sailboats, for example, often favor smaller inboard engines since their average cruising speed is limited by hull design, usually around 6 knots. Pushing them harder than full speed is wasted fuel and space. A smaller engine that just gets the boat moving efficiently will often cover more distance in the same fuel than a bigger engine working harder to push beyond hull speed. Some hybrid sailboats, like the McGregor, let you pick between sail and power, making the engine size and use even more of a balancing act. A lot of modern 4-stroke outboards with computer controls have also changed the game by expanding the usable RPM range and improving combustion efficiency at lower speeds. Hotter spark plugs, variable carburetor mixtures, and other tech help reduce carbon buildup and make the traditional advice about constant watt runs less rigid than it used to be. While we were doing all of our research, we came across somebody who had experienced the myth firsthand. Reddit user Western World 1026 posted this on Reddit. While this might seem like a myth, it can actually point to other issues like clogged fuel filters, a blocked vent, or a partially clogged jet. Something stopping the right amount of fuel from reaching the cylinder. For 2-stroke engines, this can mean the primer bulb was installed incorrectly. This could also mean dry rot or leaks in the fuel lines, or a gas tank that isn't venting properly. Now there's a lot of possible issues, spark plugs, throttle adjustment, but at first it often just looks like the myth. Ultimately, the question isn't simply whether running wide open throttle harms your engine. It's how you run it, maintain it, and whether your engine is properly sized and tuned for your vessel and typical use. Proper propeller selection, diligent maintenance of oil and fuel systems, regular use at moderate to high power, and mindful idling are all a part of keeping your engine healthy and responsive. So, is flooring it bad? Not inherently. Running wide open throttle reveals more about your engine's true health and the adequacy of your boat's propeller than it does about engine damage. It's overheating, lean mixtures, neglect, and idling abuse that truly kill power heads, not the honest work of pushing your motor to the limits it was built for. So what are your thoughts? Don't be shy, drop them down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.